Hi, we're at Gareth and Alexis, and we've been asked by the lovely people at the Premature Baby Foundation to say a few words about Aggie's Burrow in Southampton, which became our home for 100 days last year following the premature birth of our daughter.
You never really think that your pregnancy is going to go quite off the tracks in the way that ours did. But we're at 23 weeks when I went up to Loveridge ward with some aches and pains. We were pretty bowled over to find out the next day that we'd be going out to Southampton on a plane because it looked like the pregnancy was in danger of delivering really way too early. The whole grand plan was, once we were there, was hopefully 10 weeks of an extremely boring wait until the pregnancy was at about 30 weeks, and we'd be able to come back home again when baby could safely be delivered in Guernsey. Unfortunately, I then got really sick and developed sepsis, and she had to come out at 24 weeks. And then it became abundantly clear that if our baby was going to make it, we were going to be calling Southampton home for a very long time.
In the week leading up to delivery, when Alexis was in hospital, I was in Southampton living between hotels in the city centre and guest houses a little bit close to the hospital. Once our daughter was born, the day after, I rang up Jo Prio directly and spoke to her, and within a couple of hours she'd arranged for someone on the ground in Southampton to deliver the keys to Aggie's Burrow. It was really that simple and quick, and everyone was just so lovely about the whole process.
So we obviously had this really long stay ahead of us in Southampton, and in the first 7 weeks, Zara's health was very much in the balance. She had 2 huge infections in relatively short succession from one another. She had one straight after she was born, and she had just recovered from that, and we were catching our breath before she got another one. During that time, because Gareth had to be back home in Guernsey with our son during the week, I was alone in Southampton with Zara, and I spent pretty much every waking moment by her bedside. The fact that we had Aggie's Burrow was it made that difficult part of my life so much easier, because I had somewhere quiet to go to at the end of the day when I came home at 11 o'clock, somewhere quiet to cry, to talk to Gareth, to FaceTime our son before his bath time. I didn't have to worry about sharing a kitchen. I didn't have to worry about finding time to schedule in mundane things like when would the washing machine be free in a communal area. I had a place which I could just make entirely fit around me and what my daughter needed me for at any point. And when it got really bad, we were just so close. One morning, when we knew she was really ill, but I got the call at 4:40 a.m. to come in, because they weren't sure if she was going to make it through to morning. And I remember the nurse saying, "Please get here as quickly as you can, but please drive carefully." And I just remember saying, "I'm right next door." And I was there by her bedside in 3 minutes. And I don't know what happened over the next couple of hours, but somehow they got her back and got her back on her feet, and she did a lot of that work. But it meant so much to us, that small comfort you could get, that we were 200 steps away from Zara's incubator in the intensive care nursery 4. You have to leave your baby at night, every night, for 100 days, but there is some comfort in knowing that if you're needed, that you're right there within minutes. There was spaces in the neonatal unit where you could go and express milk and have cups of tea with the other mums and so on. But when she was so sick, and it's really draining when your baby is the smallest and the sickest on the unit for such a long time, I found it quite hard at times to hear other mums talk about how well their babies were doing, because I didn't know whether my baby was going to ever be doing well. And having Aggie's Burrow meant that I could just literally just nip up the hill from the up out of the neonatal unit, up the ramp into the flat, express my milk, and come straight back to my baby without having to be in that cacophony, and just have some moments of stillness and quiet to myself, which was really very much needed. But it wasn't all doom and gloom in Aggie's Burrow. We had some really fantastic times too.
No, absolutely. And as Alexis mentioned, we have a 6-year-old son. Hence my need to be back in Guernsey to make sure he could still go to school while this was all going on. But because we had a place to stay with Aggie's Burrow, which has 2 bedrooms, it meant that we could have a place for our son to stay every time we visited. And he had his own space, which we made. We made his own as best we could. Those 100 days coincided over Christmas, and so we spent the whole Christmas period in Aggie's Burrow in Southampton, which was a different Christmas for our son, but no less enjoyable. He was a little concerned that Father Christmas wouldn't find us in Aggie's Burrow, but thankfully he did.
When Jasper came over for the first time to meet his sister, she was a week old, but he hadn't seen me for 2 weeks because I'd been flown over the week beforehand. And so my mum brought him over. At that point, Zara was really unwell, fighting collapsed lungs and septicemia. And we didn't really know what was going to happen in the next few days. We had to put this big smiley face on and for our 6-year-old son. And being in Aggie's Burrow really made that all possible. He's a big pizza fan. So Gareth went down to Papa John's and got stacks of pizza, and he came in through the door and Jasper's eyes just lit up because he couldn't imagine that pizza could come like this. We got a cake from Marks and Spencer's, and me and Gareth and Jasper and my mum sat around the table in Aggie's Burrow, and we had a party for Zara's 1-week birthday. We wanted to give him something positive to celebrate, just in case things didn't work out for us. And then after we'd had our pizza and our birthday cake, with our smiles plastered on our face for him, there was a dance party. And then I got to give him a bath, and I got to read him his first story for 2 weeks, tuck him into bed in his own little bed with his banner across the room that we'd put in that little room for him. And it gave him a little bit of normality. And then we could go back down to Zara's bed whilst my mum looked after him. And that was absolutely invaluable. And I think Jasper actually came to really love his visits every fortnight or so. He absolutely loved Aggie's Burrow, which is testament to what a lovely homely place it was and how warm and welcoming it was.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. The first thing you see when you walk into Aggie's Burrow is this massive wall of names of all the people that have supported the Prio Premature Baby Foundation in securing and maintaining that flat and another one. And it's something that's really important to keep going for all the other families that this could happen to, or something similar happen to in the future.
There have been so many families before ours, and there will be families after ours that need Aggie's Burrow and Isaac's Pad. And I hope that you or your loved ones never need to use those wonderful, wonderful places, but they are such a lifeline to people like us who have to use them. And we are so endlessly grateful for the generosity of the people that made those apartments available generally, but also to us last October. And we are really looking forward to when we can start introducing Zara to the world, and also to all the wonderful people at the Premature Baby Foundation who helped us so much. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.